And in this episode, we have Priscilla, a passionate and forward-thinking home baker who started an online baking business 11 years ago called Cupsize C Bakery to share with us the ins and outs of home baking business. Coming up next. Actually, the way we communicate with our customers has never changed in the 11 years. What has, it used to be advertisement, it used to be TV commercials, but now it's on our device, so easy. But I think the thing that business owners have to put in the effort is really to know how to communicate in that manner, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So would you say that it's also the biggest lesson that you've learned so far in this baking journey or this home baking business?
Biggest lesson this few years, this couple of
Yes.
years,
Yeah.
but as a whole, in the 11 years, I
Yeah.
think the biggest lesson learned is to be open-minded.
Ah.
Yeah, you have to be very, very open-minded and have to
Okay.
recognize that food is very subjective. What I like in cakes doesn't mean you like the same taste. For me, these 11 years, this is something that I've learned, and it really got stuck in my mind because like just now I mentioned, when I first started, it all started because of friends
Yes.
encouraging me and telling
Yep.
me, hey, the cakes are nice, the cookies are yummy, we want you to bake. But so when you first started, you'll be like thinking, oh yeah, my cakes are really nice, huh? Yeah, because it must be that so that your friends and families will encourage you, right?
Yeah.
But when you really start selling, you also have to know that people will come back and say, hey, the cake a bit sweet or hey, the cake not sweet enough. Then what would you do? Initially I feel very hurt. I'll be like, huh? Like, you're comparing me to big brands, you're comparing, but I'm a home baker, so I can't cater to all the needs lah. So I'll feel like very down. To a certain extent, sometimes I feel very angry
Okay.
because consumers will come and say, can you make it sweeter? And then I'll be like, I can't be tweaking my recipe just for you,
According to your needs, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one thing. This whole 11 years was a very big lesson, and
Okay.
you have to recognize that
Yeah.
hey, this is food industry. This is not selling clothes or selling toys. Nice means nice, not nice means not
Yes.
nice.
Yes. Yes.
But food is very subjective, so you have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
really go with an open heart, open mind.
Okay.
And when people feedback, really take it in, whether it's negative or positive feedback, you have to
Yep.
take it in positively. Only
Okay.
then will you be able to move on.
True. True.
So this lesson was, I think, maybe to some may not be, a big lesson. They may be, this is normal. But for me personally, I think it's very important. You need to recognize,
Yep.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Were there like I mean, still on this topic, were there some stories that you still remember up to now that led you to this revelation that open-mindedness is important? Were there specific experience that you can still remember? Maybe you can share like what led you to this open-mindedness stage?
I do have some. Okay, one incident was I had I had a friend. Wow, like every time I bake, this friend will just go up everything in minutes. Then he will
Okay.
say, hey, I only eat things that you bake lah. I don't even go cake shops to buy. So I'll be thinking, maybe buyers lah, maybe
Yeah.
buyers. So after that, he was like telling me, no lah, you 真的很好吃 and all this. So it's like a daily brainwash kind of thing. Then you start to feel, yeah, maybe mine is very good. Then one day I baked something which was shared with other friends as well. The same thing that this friend would, he would probably just devour in a few minutes lah.
Yeah.
So some of them say, 为什么你 bake 这种东西? Then I'll be like,
Oh.
very shocked. So
Yes.
they started criticizing and say,
Okay.
very sweet leh. Then the other one say, no I like. Then after that, then the whole night they were on this topic, on that
Okay.
particular cake that I baked. So I'll be
Okay.
like, hey, enough, I come here for gathering, I bake for
Exactly.
it's really for everyone to enjoy. Then to
Okay.
me it's like friends are nice or not, accept it, but I become
Yeah.
the topic of the night. So I wasn't very happy about it.
Mm.
But after a while I went home and I think about it. Then I was like thinking, yeah, you say, hey, just like how I cook dinner,
Mm.
my husband may like it, but at the
Yes.
same time my boy may not like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and but of course at that point I feel very hurt, like, hey, how
Mm.
come you're our friends, why do you criticize me in that manner?
Mm.
So after thinking through, and I was like thinking, but they really take me as a friend. They
Mm.
are they really want the best for me. So that is why they give all sorts of comments,
Mm.
feedback. So thinking that, I will do better. To
Mm.
them at that point is really just to help me collect feedback so I can
Yeah.
improve. So
Mm.
with that, of course, very small incident, but I think that really got me into this open-mindedness,
Okay.
because I'll be telling myself, hey, I cannot, because of, they criticize my food, then I stop being friends with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so from then it just started lah. It
Yeah.
just stuck in me that whatever it is, just take it in. Then of course I won't say that, because of your feedback I start to change my recipe for you, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but from then, it will also give me the energy to go and
Mm.
research, to do research.
Okay.
Yeah, to try out recipe testing. Then you never
Mm.
know, maybe those feedbacks that make you change a little bit of elements in your baking, it could be really even better.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, from what I hear, it's really about taking it positively, like taking the feedback
Mm.
positively, and really knowing that actually, if friends are willing to tell you, that means actually they trust you. They sort of
Yes.
are open to you. Actually, it's a very good sign, I mean, like
Mm.
rather than they keep behind themselves and they don't share with you, they know that you can take it like in that sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
would that also be the advice? So let's say you have someone who wants to start a big home bakery business, because now it's really very popular. Well, everyone is baking
Mm.
bread lah, baking. So if anyone wants to jump on this bandwagon, what are the advice you would give them? I know you have already surfaced things like being open-mindedness. You have surfaced things like they need to come in to know that not everyone will like your food.
Yeah.
In that sense. So are these still the key advice that you still give to anyone who wants to start an
Yeah.
F&B
This
business?
this is the key advice, but I think one very important advice will also be, you have to recognize that
Mm.
people will so-called be a copycat.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because food industry, like, you will not be the only one,
Mm.
especially when you are doing cakes. Let's say for example you are doing children's cakes, and one parent may come and tell you, hey, I want a frozen theme cake. Then can
Okay.
I ask, how different can you make your frozen cake different from other bakers?
Mm.
So maybe you're like, oh, okay, I come up with a theme. Then after that, maybe next week or sometimes down the road, you saw somebody posting as maybe exactly the same cake as you. Then you get angry. But I think you should not be.
Mm.
In food industry, you should not be. So a lot of home bakers, they miss out this point. They'll be like,
Mm.
yo, why you, that person copy me, this person copy me. Then let me ask yourself, when you first started out, did you take others as reference?
True,
That's what I
true.
mean.
Yeah.
So so
Yep.
you have to recognize that is really
Mm.
one of the key elements, because otherwise you will just give up lah, and
Mm.
you become a very selfish business owner in the
Okay, okay.
industry, because you will not be willing to share.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, of course, having said that, I would say that of course you don't share your recipes openly,
Yeah, I understand.
but
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
again, for us, when we first started out, we also went to take course and all this.
Mm.
So you also obtain recipes from all
Yes.
these lessons,
Exactly,
and eventually,
exactly.
if you think that, hey, this recipe is very nice, you will also start using it,
Mm.
Yeah, so for those who want to start this home bakery, you have to recognize that besides being open-minded, besides any other thing, the most important thing that you have to recognize that there will be so-called copycats around. Of course, I don't really like to use that term, lah.
Yep.
But you have to recognize that there will be people
Mm.
taking your food, your ideas as reference.
Yes.
Yeah, I always tell my fellow bakers that, hey, don't come and tell me that you copy me, I copy you. At the hawker center, there's also many stores selling chicken rice. Yeah, I
Yes.
always tell them that. So yeah, so you
Okay.
have to recognize, and you
Yeah.
must I will also think another key factor is although you are alone, you are a home baker, you are like a sole proprietor,
Yeah.
but you must learn to work with other bakers. You must learn to work with other bakers. There will be times where you need their help. There will be times that they need your help. So you have to form a group. Yeah, so to keep connected, and all this is really to help you move forward, to advance, to improve yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really like what you say. I think it's about helping one another. I think it's not really to see other bakers as competitors, but to see other bakers as colleagues, lah, in that sense.
Yes.
Work together, because that one also takes a mindset. I think once you have that mindset, then it makes it easier for you to share, makes it easier for you to accept help and to help others in that sense.
Yes.
So, and I think one thing that you mentioned very well is the this copycat thing. Actually, because we always mention, like, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, and actually there's nothing wrong with knowing that someone may tap on your ideas, etc. Because that's how we started as well.
Yeah.
So, but how would you? One question that I want to ask is also, like you rightfully mentioned, there are many people doing the same thing. How do you, as a cup size C, cupcakes, differentiate yourself? I mean, how do you do that in your mind or in your strategies?
From day one, my focus is quite straightforward. I tell myself that even though it's in the food industry, even though the bigger the cake I bake, the more money comes into my pocket. But at the same time, I do not want people to throw my cakes away.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is one thing that I hold on to. So up to today, how I set myself apart is when a customer comes to me, they say, hey, please, I need a certain cake. For example, for my 1-year-old birthday. For my children 1-year-old birthday. So usually 1-year-old parents will be looking at really elaborate cakes and all. A cake can really go up to 1,000, in the four figures kind of. But for me, I don't. I will tell them, if you're looking at this and at the end of the day you cannot finish and you want to throw it away, then don't come to me. I'll be very straightforward and blunt to do that. But of course, I will also tell them, hey, I'm sorry, but I, as a baker, I will love, and my greatest joy is to see my customers finishing off the cakes to the last crumb. So I will always advise them. I will always ask, like, how many people are you feeding? And what are you? Is there anything that you're really looking for? So I'll give them alternative. This is how I set apart. I don't want to see myself as, oh, okay, you come in first birthday, okay, I throw you a 3-tier cake, but actually you only have, like now, COVID, you can only have 5 other guests in the home. So maybe you only have 8 people. Okay, if you want a tier, I'll tell you can. I'll try to do a mini tier if you're okay with it. But otherwise I will really tell them that I will not do it, and I will really stand firm and I will reject lah. Some people will say, wow, 这个 baker 很大牌，不要拿我的 order. But actually, no lah, I'm not. Not that I 大牌, or not that I have or your order is too small for me. Nothing like that lah. For me, any order is valuable. Nothing is too small for me.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to waste money because
Yeah.
I myself is a parent. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah. True.
also understand that you want a bombastic, very nice party. You know, first birthday ever. You know, but
Yeah.
money is one thing lah. Money
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
one thing. Yeah. So probably if you ask me, this is what I do. I set apart.
Mm.
And I like to bake things fresh. Because
Yes.
some I have some who come and say, huh, why you cannot give me last minute cakes? So I say, hey, I'm very sorry, you know, I don't bake cakes way in advance and keep it in the freezer, which I know some bakers do. Some
Okay.
bakers do.
Okay.
Not say it will go bad lah, you know, but
Yeah.
I don't lah. For me
Mm.
personally, that's how I set myself apart.
So I can really tell, I think what really set you apart is also you value add to the customers. In fact, I think you're not really looking for you financial gains is one, but then you right above financial gains is how you can add to the customers. You're looking into things like customers' needs. You know, you're actually unpacking into okay, what is it that they really want? Because sometimes customers come to you, they just this is what I want, but actually they haven't really gone through the thought process. So I see that you actually guide them through the thought process to make sure, okay, is this really what you want? Even if it's going to be cheaper than what they, propose, right? And I also see that you also value it in the sense that you really want to make sure that whoever is eating your cakes, they enjoy it. So even if every day you need to bake a fresh batch, it's not easy. I understand. That's why many
Yeah.
people will use to freeze it, but you will still do that step. So okay, so I think that's really something that I have really picked up lah. That really, I think it's very inspiring as well. Yeah, I think that's also
Because
the yeah
a lot of people will be like, hey, the more orders I get, you know,
yeah
the more money I do. So whether you like it or not, food business ma, so they always see it as a one-time thing. But I
yeah
think that should not be the case. If you are good,
mm,
people will keep coming back to you. You know, besides social media, word of mouth is also very important.
mm,
So in the long run, um, let's be practical lah, huh? In the long run, as a
yeah
business, you also want to learn about profit, talk
yes
you know, money, right?
of course
So
practical lah.
actually, yeah, in the long run, the profit is definitely going to be way more bigger than those who just do a one-off thing. Because you have
Mm,
to remember, you're not a commercial baker. You're not those that that station yourself at the shopping mall. You
yeah
know, whether this person come back tomorrow or not, it doesn't matter. There's so many thousand people walk past your shop, you know,
yeah
but home baker, no, it doesn't.
yes
So if you put on the mindset as those commercial baker, then
mm,
then I tell you, at the end of the day, really your your net profit is
mm,
definitely going to be lower. It's definitely
mm,
going to be lower. But
okay
if like for myself, I base on word of mouth, I base on my
mm,
quality, and
mm,
like what you say, value add lah. Um,
yeah
I do get more. I find
okay
that, you know, at the end I do get more.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah. Definitely, I think you're building a brand around who
Mm.
you represent, what cupcakes, cup size C
Size.
cupcakes represent. Yeah,